the silent stalker. Emma had always been a thrill seeker, drawn to the unknown like a moth to a flame. The small town she lived in was quiet, almost too quiet, with whispers of ancient legends that echoed through the generations. One legend in particular fascinated her. A tale of an ancient monster lurking deep in the forest at the edge of town. It was said to be a shadowy figure, one that blended seamlessly with the dark woods, only revealing itself to those brave or foolish enough to seek it out. Armed with her camera and an insatiable curiosity, Emma decided she would be the one to uncover the truth. On a crisp autumn afternoon, she ventured into the forest, the canopy above filtering the sunlight into a kaleidoscope of shadows. The further she went, the quieter it became. The usual forest sounds, chirping birds, and rustling leaves faded into an eerie silence. Emma's heart pounded with a mix of excitement and fear. She followed a narrow path that twisted deeper into the forest, her eyes scanning the surroundings for any sign of movement. Hours passed, and as dusk began to settle, she wondered if the legend was just that, a story to scare children. Just as she was about to turn back, she heard it, a faint rustle in the underbrush. Emma froze, her breath catching in her throat. Slowly, she lifted her camera, peering through the lens. At first, she saw nothing but trees and shadows. Then something moved, a flicker of darkness against the already dim forest. Click! She snapped a picture, but when she checked the display, there was nothing out of the ordinary. Unease settled over her like a cold fog. She continued forward, every crackle of twigs underfoot amplifying her fear. The forest seemed to close in around her, the path disappearing into the gloom. The rustling came again, closer this time. Emma turned, her camera ready, but again, she saw nothing. Panic began to creep in. She was being watched, stalked by something unseen. Her hands trembled as she adjusted the settings on her camera, hoping to capture whatever it was. A low, guttural growl echoed through the trees, sending a chill down her spine. Emma's pulse quickened. She tried to steady her breathing, telling herself it was just her imagination. But deep down, she knew she wasn't alone. Out of the corner of her eye, she caught a glimpse of movement. Her heart leapt into her throat. There, between the trees, was a pair of glowing eyes watching her intently. She raised her camera, hands shaking, and clicked. The flash illuminated the figure for a split second, revealing a monstrous silhouette before plunging her back into darkness. Fear surged through her, and she stumbled backward, her mind screaming at her to run. The monster, now fully aware of her presence, began to toy with her, darting in and out of the shadows. Emma's breath came in ragged gasps as she spun around, trying to keep track of its movements. The creature's eyes never left her, glowing with a malevolent intelligence. It let out another growl, this time more menacing, and started to close the distance. Emma bolted, sprinting through the forest with no sense of direction. Her only thought, to escape. Branches clawed at her skin and clothes as she ran, her camera swinging wildly around her neck. The monster's heavy footsteps pounded behind her, growing louder with each passing second. It was a game of cat and mouse, and Emma knew she was the prey. Her lungs burned and her legs ached, but she didn't dare slow down. She glanced back and saw the monster emerging from the shadows, its grotesque form becoming clearer. It was tall, covered in matted fur, with long, clawed limbs and a twisted, snarling face. A root caught her foot, and she went down hard, the impact jarring her bones. She scrambled to get up, but it was too late. The monster was upon her, its hot breath on her neck, its claws digging into the earth beside her. Emma screamed, swinging her camera in a desperate attempt to fend it off. The flash went off again, momentarily blinding the creature. She seized the opportunity, kicking free and sprinting once more. The forest seemed endless, every tree a potential hiding place for the monster. Just as she thought she couldn't run any further, she saw a faint light ahead. With a final burst of energy, she raced towards it, breaking through the tree line and into a clearing. She collapsed to the ground, gasping for air, her body trembling with exhaustion and fear. The monster didn't follow. It lingered at the edge of the forest, its eyes still fixed on her. Slowly, it retreated into the shadows, vanishing as if it had never been there. Emma lay there for a long time, clutching her camera like a lifeline. She had survived the encounter, but the terror of those glowing eyes and the sensation of being hunted would haunt her forever. The legend was real, and she had the photographs to prove it. If she ever dared to look at them again,